Good morning, guys. I'm Rishi from Mars Moto, and this is my modified Continental GT 650. So, brief introduction about myself. I currently own this GT as well as an Interceptor. Now, this one has a few modifications. I mean, your first question would be, why does this have this upright handlebar? So I got this bike in January last year, and I used the clip-ons for about 1.5 years. After that, I thought I'll make this into a project bike. Of course, I got the basic mods like the exhaust, I didn't go for the air filter, but I think just about on the exhaust. I got a fatter rear tire right off the bat. I went with a 160 section rear tire because I felt that the high speed stability on these twins is not as great. And the 130 section rear tire is a bit too undersized for the power these machines make. So right now I'm headed to Patiala. One of the main modifications that I wanted to do to this bike, because I'm turning this into a proper scrambler. I'll just give you a little walk around of the bike when I just get to the main highway that goes to Patiala. Then of course I'll give you a proper detailed walk around on my way back after I do the major mod. So what I'm doing is I'm getting the Himalayan front suspension on this bike. I know a lot of you will be surprised at why the hell are you doing going with a Himalayan suspension up front. Well, I have my reasons. Number one, the travel on the front and the rear suspension is not all that great for off-roading and just hitting the trails. Number two, the stock suspension setup is pretty soft, and because of that the front suspension tends to bottom out. I mean, if you hit a pothole or if you hit a rock or something, if you're going on trails. So to counter that, when I got these modified handlebars, we tweaked the front suspension. So what we essentially did, we put heavier fork oil in the shockers, and we put 1-inch spacers into each shocker rod. What it does is it compresses the springs in stock setting, and in return it just stiffens up the front end and just makes the bike a lot more stable. Now the only drawback of that is that in the long term it might cause damage to the suspension, at least the springs that are there in the suspension. And of course that's not that good for your bike. Now what I really wanted to do was to get long travel upside down suspension for the front. I was actually getting it as a spare part of a KTM dirt bike. I don't exactly remember the name. Is the same suspension that Mahle London used in their project Interceptors. You can check out their page, you'll get all the details, and they look very mean. So I'm headed to Patiala right now to a good friend of mine. His name is Jaideep Chahal, and he owns 3 or 4 Royal Enfield dealerships over there. I live in Panchkula, so it's about an hour and a half ride for me. I think what I'll do is I'll give you a proper walk around after I get the suspension installed, because apart from that, I think the only mores that I have is, first of all, I have this switched up handlebar. This is from the Thunderbird X. I've got the upper T from the Interceptor, the clutch and wire cable, the clutch and throttle cables from the Interceptor. I have used a 14 tooth sprocket, replaced the stock sprocket with that, because the stock sprocket, stock front sprocket is 15 teeth, and the one that I've installed has 14 teeth. What that results in is very good acceleration, a lot better than the stock bike, a very strong mid-range grunt, and overall a lot more responsive. Apart from that, I've got the AEW 101 pipes, just the slip-ons, and I've just got some wrap done to the tank. It's black and white. The stock bike was Ice Queen white, and I also got this very recently just to change the look as per my desires. Apart from that, I've got, of course, the standard RE accessories. I've got the bar and mirrors, I've got a sump guard, I've got the fork gaiters, I've used a stock 650 mudguard as a high set fender at the front. It just makes it look like a dirt bike, that's all. After I get the suspension changed, it will look a lot better and will actually serve the purpose when you hit the trails. This front windscreen is also custom. I've sort of modified it myself. Now what it essentially is a accessory windshield that comes for the Yamaha FZ25. What I've done is I've chopped off the bottom part of the windshield, okay, and I have installed it upside down. So on the FZ it is installed this way, I have installed it upside down. Pretty functional. I wouldn't say it stops the wind blast as such. I'm really looking at changing this pretty soon, getting a bigger touring windshield from a GS or something. And what I have is all-terrain tires at the front and the rear. I have used a Timson TS823 at the front, stock size, and I've used a Dunlop Trail Max 150 70/18 at the rear. Both are around 70/30 ratio, 70 on road, 30 off-road. Good combination as far as my purpose is concerned. Gives great grip on the road as well as off it. So what I'll do is I'll see you guys at the dealership now. Okay, so I've reached Patiala and I'm about to get to the dealership. Check this out, guys. This is actually the Royal Enfield vintage store as well. So it has like a little museum up top over there, you know, with all the retro bikes, like the old Enfields and all that stuff. So I am at the dealership now. This is what the bike looks like. Getting the suspension changed. Everything will come off, and I'll just keep posting. I'll just keep recording whatever I can at each step. What we are doing is we are retaining the legs and we are changing the rods and the springs. They will be swapped out with the Himalayan ones, but the legs will stay the same. Because of that, I mean, the installation will be easy, and the suspension travel will also go up by about 30, 40, 50 mm. I'm not sure, I'll have to measure it later. So what they're doing is they're just taking this out. They'll work on the suspension. I think it's going to take about 2-3 hours to get that done, and after that we'll just install it straight up. This rod is from the Himalayan, this is from the Interceptor, this is also Himalayan, this goes inside the shocker. That's from the, sorry, this is from the Himalayan, this is from the Interceptor. And this is the difference in the springs. This is from the Interceptor, this is from the Himalayan. Look at the difference. So this is the main difference. Look at the difference in the length between both. So this is the stock rod and this is the one from a Himalayan. So you see the difference, how much suspension travel will get increased. Also the ground clearance and all the other good stuff. Okay, so the shockers are now ready. We'll just put some fork oil in that and then they're ready to go up. We're using a normal Royal Enfield fork oil. Just try to make it a little heavier by putting some engine oil in this, but yeah, that's a normal.
Still checking if the place still cold. Moving in the way, no place, no snow. Straight chilling with my niggas that shiver. Thinking about South Lake, thoughts on the river. Move back, nigga, move back, nigga. Fake Jordan, that's whack ass bitch, nigga. I come back with 11 damn shots. I claim this city and I take your spot. Stay thinking about a white one, thinking about a bright sun. That I changed straight from the dark shit. No tape when I'm playing with the black gun, nigga. You ain't never been a god since the last run. No stance in the place that's shown. A lot of niggas